Good evening and welcome back to another episode of The Longing. And today we are going to be continuing to read Ligeia. And then tomorrow depending on whether we actually get this done, we will be starting to read continuing to read, really, the Iliad, unless one of the other books gets more votes between now and then. But otherwise, let's continue. An hour thus elapsed when, could it be possible, I was a second time aware of some vague sound issuing from the region of the bed. I listened in extremity of horror. The sound came again. It was a sigh, rushing to the corpse. I distinctly saw, a tremor upon the lips. In a minute afterward they relaxed, disclosing a bright line of the pearly teeth. Amazement now struggled in my bosom with the profound awe which had hitherto reigned there alone. I felt that my vision grew dim, that my reason wandered, and it was only by a violent effort that I at length succeeded in nerving myself to the task which duty thus once more had pointed out. There was now a partial glow upon the forehead and upon the cheek and throat. A perceptible warmth pervaded the whole frame. There was even a slight pulsation at the heart. The lady lived, and with redoubled ardour I betook myself to the task of restoration. I chafed and bathed the temples and the hands, and used every exertion which experience and no little medical reading could suggest. But in vain. Suddenly the colour fled, the pulsation ceased, the lips resumed the expression of the dead, and in an instant afterward the whole body took upon itself the icy chilliness. The livid hue, the intense rigidity, the sunken outline, and all the loathsome peculiarities of that which has been, for many days, a tenant of the tomb. And again I sunk into visions of Ligeia, and again, what marvel that I shudder while I write, again there reached my ears a low sob from the region of the ebony bed. But why shall I minutely detail the unspeakable horrors of that night? Why shall I pause to relate how, time after time, until near the period of the grey dawn, this hideous drama of revivification was repeated, how each terrific relapse was only into a sterner and apparently more irredeemable death, how each agony wore the aspect of a struggle with some invisible foe, and how each struggle was succeeded by I know not what of wild change in the personal appearance of the corpse. Let me hurry to a conclusion. The greater part of the fearful night had worn away, and she who had been dead once again stirred, and now more vigorously than hitherto, although arousing from a dissolution more appalling in its utter hopelessness than any. I had long ceased to struggle or to move, and remained sitting rigidly upon the ottoman, a helpless prey to a whirl of violent emotions, of which extreme awe was perhaps the least terrible, the least consuming. The corpse, I repeat, stirred, and now more vigorously than before. The hues of life flushed up with unwonted energy into the countenance, the limbs relaxed, and save that the eyelids were yet pressed heavily together, and that the bandages and draperies of the grave still imparted their charnel character to the figure, I might have dreamed that Rowena had indeed shaken off utterly the fetters of death. But if this idea was not, even then, altogether adopted, I could at least doubt no longer when, arising from the bed, tottering, with feeble steps, with closed eyes, and the manner of one bewildered in a dream, the thing that was enshrouded advanced boldly and palpably into the middle of the apartment. I trembled not, I stirred not, for a crowd of unutterable fancies connected with the air, the stature, the demeanour of the figure, rushing hurriedly through my brain, had paralyzed, had chilled me into stone. I stirred not, but gazed upon the apparition. There was a mad disorder in my thoughts, a tumult unappeasable. Could it, indeed, be the living Rowena who confronted me? Could it indeed be Rowena at all, the fair-haired, the blue-eyed lady Rowena Trevanion of Tremaine? Why should I doubt it? The bandage lay heavily about the mouth, But then might it not be the mouth of the breathing Lady of Tremaine? And the cheeks there were the roses, as in her noon of life. Yes, these might indeed be the fair cheeks of the living Lady of Tremaine, and the chin, with its dimples, as in health, might it not be hers? But had she then grown taller since her malady? What inexpressible madness seized me with that thought? One bound, and I had reached her feet. Shrinking from my touch, she let fall from her head, unloosened, the ghastly cerements which had confined it, and there streamed forth into the rushing atmosphere of the chamber huge masses of long and dishevelled hair. It was blacker than the raven wings of the midnight, and now slowly opened the eyes of the figure which stood before me. Here then, at least, I shrieked aloud, can I never be mistaken? These are the full and the black, and the wild eyes of my lost love, of the Lady Ligeia. The end. Well, I think with that we are going to do a little bit of time reversal. But that was an interesting, I'm going to say interesting book. Didn't really make much sense, but sure. That's not for me to judge, I guess. Who am I but a humble reader? So we're just going to reverse time for a little bit while we've got the time to do it, because the Iliad is going to take a lot of our time, many days to actually read. So the more time I can get before we actually start reading, the better, because then we actually stand a pretty good chance of being able to get through it in fewer time rewinds, time reversals, whatever you want to call them. I'll probably be as far as we get any second now. There we go. Let's get another blue fire going. For yet... oh, we might as well pick up this. For yet more time reversal. We're almost there. The time reversal. And that's as far back as we can get. Oops. Right. Let's just have a quick gander at the Iliad's books. So we've read the Iliad 1 to 8. 9 to 17 has 364 pages. 18 to 24 has 257, so we're looking around probably 70, 75 episodes, maybe 80 episodes, depending on how many pages we can read at a time, for the Iliads. So it's going to be February by the time we finish, in theory. Good grief. It's quite a long read. My word. But anyway, that's all we've got time for today, so I will say thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you all have a wonderful morning, evening, afternoon or night, no matter what time of day it is. I hope you all have a wonderful one of it. And as always, we will be back tomorrow for more of The Longing. Goodbye.